Proceeding to attack. Reducing enemy effectiveness. Capacitor out. Set it while it's energized. Reloading once more.
I look forward to the reclamation of the Hyperion web. Hopefully you shall facilitate that. Now, how might we be of use to one another? Yes! Excellent! Take that, reductionists! Your horrid little surveillance devices shall finally be used for what their purpose should have been! Don't tell anyone about that outburst, please. Here's something to keep you quiet. I must admit I first had doubts, due to your association with a cultist. But yes, you've earned not only my trust, but the Order's as well. I hope you'll continue working with us. I've informed the presiding bishop you're coming to speak with her. She can be found in the room off the main stairwell. I'm sure I don't need to say this. But if you even think about bringing harm to Ruth, I shall know. Be on your very, very best behavior.
The Order has always proclaimed patience as a virtue, but I am pleased my waiting is finally at its endpoint. For so long, you have only existed as numerical values on a chart. A bright star in a constellation of possibilities, as it were. Now with your arrival, the Order nears the totality of its goals, provided you are willing to stay aligned with our cause. As I told you in my message, a splinter group was responsible for recruiting your fellow agent and tasking her to perpetrate that heresy. The conviction of those radicals was such that they elected to perish from exposure to Cloister's wilderness to avoid fouling their predictions and my interference. Their interpretation of the data was at odds with mine. I forbade them taking action, to no avail, obviously. I disavowed their actions then, as I do now. Now then, I gather you already know who I am, but science has shown that good manners strengthen developing relationships by 5.3%. So, allow me to introduce myself. I am Ruth Bassar, third presiding bishop of the Order of the Ascendant, Supreme Calculator, and, plan willing, the architect of Arcadia's prosperous future. I admit, when I sent my initial message, I did not exactly know who its recipient would be. But I trusted the plan, and lo and behold, it provided you as the solution. Your recent exploits at Greater Tranquility Station have certainly made for compelling reading material. Confronting an assassin, and thereby sparing the delegates' lives before the rift inexplicably destroyed the station? Such a commendable effort is worthy of acknowledgement. If your actions were so easily imitable, then we would not be speaking right now. Accept the credit. However, there's something of even greater import we must discuss. I just received the most curious transmission from Auntie Cleo. She wishes to discuss a partnership of sorts, and I heard you were the source of this plot. I must admit I have significant doubts about colluding with an entity like Auntie's Choice. Why should the Order agree to even entertain the possibility?
Simply put, we got the troops, the firepower, and the know-how to beat the Protectorate. Respectfully, I think we both know that your forces can't do that on their own.
Military support loses its usefulness quickly in times of peace. It is that which gives me pause, among other concerns. Wise enough to recognize the perils, too. But the right course often involves remaining open to new possibilities. Auntie Cleo has already proposed a secure conference room on board the Undisputed Claim for our use. I will await your arrival there to mediate.
Failed to cite her work completely. I worked with presiding Bishop Orlo, you know. Now there was a serious scientician.
Fizzos, Fizzos, we love Fizzos, Fizzos, Spectrum Vodka.
The story of Anti-Cleo versus the Moon Man is a ballad for our ages. A thing of legend to be handed down from monarchy to each successive generation. Spacer's choice swollen-headed mascot represents the worst impulses of old corporations. Fairly against the little person as they try to eliminate the Tau Ceti. But did Anti-Cleo take Spacer's choice devious shenanigans lying down? No!
Look who it is, the instigator of this little affair. Her mathematicalness should be along soon, unless the leader of the Order's too busy crunching numbers to attend to business.
There we are. Apologies for the delay. We were resolving some technical issues. Cloister's atmosphere has a tendency to...
Oh, yes. Regale us with a thorough account of Cloister's atmosphere. Spare no detail.
This must be Auntie Cleo's trademark wit. I expected better. If I was discourteous, I apologize. So long as our mediator proves up to the task, surely we can remain civil. If not, these negotiations may prove short indeed.
From where I'm positioned, I sense 3 sore points still in need of massage. Point 1, control of the archive. Point 2, oversight of production and distribution of skip cores. And point 3, management of Rift technology.
Before we go any further, I want it in writing that the Order will take full control of the archive without interference from Auntie's choice.
What? So the Order can set it fruitlessly idling for another few centuries? We would put it to far more practical use. Imagine the marketing strategies it could develop.
I would sever my own hand before giving custody of the archive over to a corporation. Humanity's ascension depends on its calculations. No, such a condition is out of the question.
Not completely sure you can convince me that Auntie's choice benefits from receiving 0 access to that wondrous little doodad. Easier still with a moon-sized computronic calculator expediting our strategic initiatives. But fine enough. I am willing to bend slightly, on this point at least.
The Order is pleased to accept our mediator's wisdom in this matter.
Yes, the Order can keep their contraption, but the management of skip drives should be under the purview of Auntie's choice. No one understands production like we do. Besides which, we have far more experience using skip drives. It was how we came to Arcadia, after all.
Where Auntie's choice manages, the Order would undoubtedly excel. Do not exclude us from consideration merely for lack of experience.
So you ramp up production? And then what? Hand skip drives out for free to whoever wants one? Preposterous, and a waste of a perfectly good monopoly.
We would be diligent about who we licensed out the skip drives to. And a monopoly over space travel is precisely what I wish to avoid. This technology should benefit all humanity. That assumes Auntie's choice would even abide by such a list of restrictions, and which would almost be impossible for the Order to enforce.
Not to worry. We can build a regulatory commission to oversee production and make sure everything is up to Auntie's choice and Order standards. Oh, partiality concerns are a thing of the past. Obviously, regulators would be incentivized to care most about the safety of the consumer. You know, right after production costs.
as would the likelihood that we will eventually improve upon it. We shall allow Auntie's control of the current design. There is still the question of who takes possession of the Protectorate's rift technology once the war is finished. Although the science is still largely theoretical, this technology could be used to not only close rifts, but create new ones. A dangerous power indeed, left in the wrong hands.
The Order would fritter away valuable time endlessly hand-wringing what to do with the technology. Auntie's Choice would actually use it. For good, of course. In a gainful manner. I'd be remiss if I didn't note that Auntie's Choice also has scientists. Very good ones, in fact.
Yes, but we're doing ourselves no favors if we can't admit we could do better. We got the ingenuity. We just need the same amount of care, too.
I am certain your scientists are adequate, but compared to Order minds, it would be foolish to pretend there is any contest.
My scientists don't perpetually dither with profitless theoretical impracticalities. They produce tangible, worthwhile results in short order, or else. Point taken. Very well. Let the Order shoulder the risk.
A rational resolution is a joy to all. There is one final matter I wish to discuss. I require some chemicals that I have been told are manufactured at a plant on Praetor, controlled by Auntie's Choice.
I know which plant you're referring to, Ruth, and what comes out of it is hardly safe for general use. Out of professional curiosity, what could you possibly need with such dangerous compounds? Running a little experiment, are we? On what? Or whom?
That is, quite frankly, none of your concern.
Precisely. Partners don't withhold secrets, although they can and probably should withhold extremely dangerous chemicals if not properly notified of what they will be used for.
I will make no progress with my request without further explanation, will I? While the Archive is an infinitely complex machine, an equally complex apparatus has been designed which allows one to interact with it directly. Brain-to-logic assembly, as it were. Unfortunately, this headgear exacts a rather tremendous cost on the wearer. A certain panacea is needed to survive it, but I require these chemicals to finish it.
Certainly. I'll even extend our corporate partner's micro discount to Ruth as a show of good faith. Best I'll say is today's outcome is workable. Barely. Our gains were not as exclusive as I had hoped they'd be.
Arriving at any arrangement even remotely equitable was statistically improbable. Be glad our mediator managed to find a middle path forward. As am I. You certainly have a way of curving probability into your favor.
Well, that'll be all for today. Don't forget to purchase the latest in Auntie's Choice products out on the value-added Esplanade, or enjoy a refreshing cocktail at the Best Choice. And do come see me personally when you have time. I have just the thing in mind for an accomplished freelancer such as yourself.
One moment. There are still the logistics of recapturing the Archive to consider.
We'll of course provide our expert troops to support these efforts. Have your people call my people to sort details. Toodaloo!
Brusque as ever. Auntie's troopers will certainly help us manage the Protectorate forces easier, especially if supported by your help. But it would be irrational to expect you to endanger your own life without a more specific strategy in place. Fortunately, I have already given this some thought. First, we must reclaim Spireton from the enemy. Spireton once served as the Order's headquarters, due to its proximity to the Archive. Its loss was an affront, and remains so. More importantly, there is a lift located in Spireton which can deliver our troops into the Archive to assist you against the Protectorate. Unlocking and calling that lift can only be done from within the Archive, however. So you will need to infiltrate the Archive by alternate means, via a bridge connected to Newton. Fortunately, I am told you already dealt with the cultists there. Unfortunately, you will still need to find a way past a small rift currently blocking the bridge. Ordinarily, I do not fancy surprises, but you are proving an exception to that rule. With such a device in hand, bypassing the rift should be as rudimentary as pie. And perhaps at some later date, you will also permit our scientists to analyze this gadget at length in one of our labs, provided all goes according to plan. There is a computronical key that you will also need to locate within the Archive called the Calcaduceus. The Calcaduceus grants special access to the Archive. Once it is back in Order hands, we will have full control over its systems once more. Until the Order has control over the Archive again, this discussion is all but moot. You know what must be done. May you achieve progress in accordance with the plan.
That was some damn fine intermediation, Commander. You might just have a future in finance. You know, after Anti and the Order trounce the Protectorate.
But I'll have no truck with the ambition to fish